The war in Ukraine showing no signs of abating over a month, and Moscow's war machine not slowing down, which means that the Russian Navy Buyan M missile, for example, the boat launched 4 caliber cruise missiles which caused massive destruction in Ukraine. Here's a report exactly what's been turning out there in 32 days since the war started.
A brooding night sky over the Black Sea, torn apart by 4 caliber cruise missiles launched from a Russian Navy Buyan M missile boat. Their targets, Ukrainian sites near the country's capital, Kyiv. Capable of hitting targets hundreds of kilometers away with devastating accuracy, the use of caliber cruise missiles signals a shift into the realm of advanced weaponry in the second phase of this war. The Russian Ministry of Defense has flaunted this video of the Iskander short-range ballistic missile as well, being used to target a claimed foreign mercenary unit using a Kyiv shopping mall as a reloading base for its rocket units. The third major Russian missile system being used is the Yakhont high-speed cruise missile, seen here being launched against a Ukrainian weapons depot in the western part of the country. The Yakhont is a progenitor of the Indo-Russian BrahMos missile in service with the Indian Armed Forces. And the missile that Russia has used for the first time in combat, the Kinzhal hypersonic air-launched cruise missile, seen here smashing into a Ukrainian underground weapons depot. The Kinzhal is a nuclear-capable weapon that has of course been used only with conventional warheads in Ukraine. Four advanced Russian missile systems, all 4 being used in anger against Ukraine. The damage they're causing, plain for their makers and the world to see. Of course, there's another Russian missile that's on operational alert amidst this Ukrainian crisis. A weapon stored away secretly inside Russia's Bore-class nuclear ballistic missile submarines. A weapon that will hopefully never be used. The Bulava, a submarine-launched intercontinental range ballistic missile. A Cold War weapon that could bring about the end of the world if ever fired in anger. A weapon whose heightened state of alert has sparked nuclear fears across the world. As Russia's war in Ukraine rumbles forward in its second month, missile power will define the onward march. Bureau Report, India Today.
Remember, it is Russian missile might currently there for Ukraine, because the Caliber cruise missile, let's begin with that. What is the military might of Russia? With the Caliber cruise missile, as you can see, launched from the Russian Navy's Buyan M missile boat, this cruise missile was developed by the Russian Novata, and that can be fired from the ship, submarine or air. It will then attain a supersonic speed, and that speed max range of 4,500 kilometers, can make in-flight maneuvers if required. Also, an Iskander ballistic missile is put to use here. What does that mean? The radar evading weapon system that Russia has, it's a famed pinpoint accuracy. It is nuclear capable missile and can trick the missile defense, and with a hypersonic speed range of about 500 kilometers at least. This Yakhont missile, let's take a look at that. It's a precursor of India's BrahMos supersonic anti-ship cruise missile and can be fired from land, ship or the submarine. Let's take a look at another missile. This is the Kinzhal missile. It's super fast, low flying, can be maneuvered, the speed 5 times that of sound, and then it can hit the target 2,000 kilometers away. It even has a payload capacity of 480 kilograms, which means it can carry nukes, conventional warheads, can change the trajectory mid-flight, and there is no way to stop or intercept this specific Kinzhal missile. So different missiles giving Russia an upper hand to continue to invade into Ukraine 32 days on. Now remember, the war in Ukraine has entered more than a month, which means Russia's war missile, which still no slowing down. The Russian Defense Ministry shared a video footage. Take a look on your screens now. This is an airstrike on a Ukrainian Buk missile system performed by an Iskander missile. In Mariupol, for example, residents are hunkering in basement. They are trying to stay alive amid the destruction happening around them. Fresh explosions reported near Ukraine's western city of Lviv. President Joe Biden of the United States of America, meanwhile, while this was happening, wrapped up his visit in just neighboring Poland. Ukraine's capital has revoked also the 35-hour curfew. Kyiv's mayor has said the curfew will run from 8 p.m. local time on Saturday to 7 a.m. on Monday, which means local residents will be allowed to leave their home only to get to a bomb shelter if required. Now, the southern port city of Mariupol has suffered relentless shelling since Russia began its operation in Ukraine. President Volodymyr Zelensky has now expressed gratitude toward his soldiers on the National Guard Day. Not just that, Zelensky came forward, even awarded the troops and had pictures taken with all of them. All of this while the war is on. So as you can see on your screens, complete aftermath with regard to the missile shelling that has been happening relentlessly for days in different cities across Ukraine. This is a recurring visual. Let's begin one by one with the cities in Ukraine. The western Ukrainian city of Lviv, which has acted as a safe space for Ukrainians fleeing the war, has become the latest target of Russian airstrikes. According to reports, 3 loud explosions were heard near Lviv on Saturday, triggering air raid sirens. 5 people received injuries in the blast in the outskirts. But there was also heavy plume of black smoke seen rising from the northeast side of the city. This attack on the western city has come at a time exactly when US President Joe Biden was in neighboring Poland, leaving a distance of just about 400 kilometers between Biden and the missile strikes. And India Today ensures that for the viewer, they get first-hand account. And India Today's reporters are on the ground, not just in Ukraine, but in neighboring countries as well. India Today's senior executive editor, Gaurav Sawant, who's been reporting from the war zone for over a month now gives you latest update on day 32 of Vladimir Putin's invasion into Ukraine. Take a look at this report.
Late-night missile strikes in Lviv have sparked off fresh fears that Russia is now systematically targeting the western part of Ukraine, so far considered relatively safe. Though the West has been targeted in the past with missile strikes both in Lviv and at the Ivano-Franko airbase, this time 5 people were injured in a strike that took place not far at a fuel dump, a strategic fuel dump that the Russians feel was being used to supply fuel to the Ukraine army and militia. Locals here say that if even Lviv is not safe, they will then have to flee to Poland. That's the only place for them to go. The situation here remains extremely grim. Kyiv, by and large, has remained peaceful, but the Russians now appear to be consolidating their positions towards the south and the east of the country. Overall, in the Donbass region, the Russians are advancing forward to consolidate their position in Donetsk and Luhansk, even as the Ukraine army has insisted it's mounted a series of counterattacks, destroying a number of Russian tanks, armored personnel carriers, and neutralizing. Unclear on day 32 if Ukraine is able to strike back and hard at the Russian strongholds. Ukraine has also insisted it's mounted a series of counterattacks in the Kherson region in the south, and that is where the Russians have completely cut off Ukraine from the Sea of Azov and the Black Sea. From Mariupol to Kherson, the Russians once again trying to consolidate their position, even as Ukraine's forces try to strike back. With cameraman Lalit Mohan Joshi in Lviv, Ukraine, Gaurav Sawant for India Today.
The newest state-of-the-art BMW dealership in Kharkiv has been destroyed now, this by an aimed fire from the Russian occupiers. The destroyed building of the cabin was actually at the epicenter of the aggression by Russia. Now this, remember, is on the line of sight of Russian artillery in the city of Kharkiv. Here's a report of what is the impact and the aftermath that has taken place on this BMW dealership. And as we take a look and stay with these visuals, I want to quickly go across to my colleague Rajesh Pawar. He's on the ground. Rajesh, we have different images coming in, even a BMW dealership store not spared, super luxury cars that have been hit badly. 32 days on, at this point, is it about the bombing or is it about the aftermath that Ukraine is dealing with? Rajesh.
Look, these bombings which Russia is doing now, they have intensified these bombings in the west of Ukraine. And as I have been saying for the last 2 days, this is a part of well-planned strategy. They are now consolidating their ground gains in the east and south of Ukraine. And they are now continuing to pressurize Ukraine by bombing western part of Ukraine, which includes Lviv and Ivano-Franko. And these bombings, we will see, will keep increasing in the coming days just to maintain the pressure. This is also an indication. This is also to make Ukraine understand that whatever anti-aircraft systems, Stinger missiles Russia and West is giving them, they are totally ineffective and are of no use when it comes to stopping the missile strikes by the Russians. So this is also to give a message to Ukraine that it is time that they should consider it, that they cannot fight this war and the West has left them alone and they must come to a negotiating table.
Just at this point, because we know that the US President Joe Biden has wrapped up his visit in Poland. Right now, of course, the US says we're all ready to help. But with 32 days on, how is Zelensky looking at it? Are the Ukrainians, both in the establishment and residents, actually hopeful that the world are going to pour in sources and resources to them?
Look, when President Zelensky says something like, we are not going to shoot down missiles with automatic rifles, it says everything. It says that the kind of military help they were expecting, the kind of equipment they were expecting from the United States and the West, that kind of equipment has not arrived in Ukraine. The West has, or the NATO is not supplying the kind of equipment which Ukraine wants to defend itself. And what they are getting right now is not sufficient. And that is what Ukraine is saying, and the desperation can be seen in their statements, and looks like they will not be able to sustain this war in case they do not get something substantial, something much more modern very soon. Pooja.
I do want to understand this, Rajesh, because, and I asked this, remember, question earlier to you as well, that, you know, with so much bombing that's happening, people are either fleeing or trying to save shelter. So much has been lost for Ukrainians in the past 32 days. And with the war that's on, how are they looking at it here on, as in when the war comes to an end? Everything we see in cities that are damaged, in ruins, it will be a massive exercise to rebuild Ukraine.
Undoubtedly, it will be a massive exercise to rebuild what they have lost, and their economy has been set many years back now.
Yes.
Even if the reconstruction takes place, their economy, what it was before the war, it will take years before they reach that stage. And I think Ukrainians understand this. And I think there is two kind of opinions in Ukrainians right now. One, who are ready to fight till the end at any cost. They said we will not surrender in front of Russia. And then there is the other side, in a lot of Ukrainians also think that it is time we should negotiate with Russia because the West has left us alone and we cannot win this war on our own.
Absolutely. I think you make a very valid perspective here, Rajesh, that do you think this is exhaustion and the loss of life of Ukraine that is beginning to now come up? Because as long as you're going to fight with the military might of Russia, the loss of life and of property is eventually of Ukraine, not of Russia.
Very true, Pooja. I mean, this Ukraine has just been used as a playground in this big power play. It is a power play between Russia and the West, and Ukraine has just become a kind of playground for them.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people here understand this now, and they realize that it is only their loss. America and the West will keep supplying them weapons and money, but it is the Ukrainians who are dying on ground. It is Ukraine which is suffering. It is Ukraine which economy will take years to reach back to this stage. And it is Ukrainians who are displaced and the Ukrainians whose families are either separated or are lost.
Yes.
Pooja.
Absolutely terrible to think what people in Ukraine must be facing right now. 32 days on, the war refusing to end. And Rajesh Pawar, since day one, has been bringing us updates right from ground zero. Rajesh, thank you very much. You stay safe. I'll come back to you shortly.